I'm Erin Lawler Patterson, the Goodness Chick. I'm an international speaker, podcaster, counselor, author, and proud part of the Mental Health News Radio Network. Join me on the journey of empowering you to live life with an overflowing cup rather than an empty one. We look at mental health, self-care, addiction, relationship, and wellness, where we use our challenges to fuel us rather than consume us.
So this week's episode really comes from the heart. It's something that I've struggled with over the years, and the longer I've been around and talked with people, I've realized how prevalent it is, and it's something we're just super not talking about enough. And what that is SAD, seasonal affective disorder. So as the clocks changed just a short time ago, and we're kind of embarking towards the kind of end of fall and towards the winter, I know this is a topic that affects so many people. Or if it doesn't affect us, it affects somebody that we know and we care about. So today's episode is dedicated to seasonal affective disorder, what it is, symptoms, and ways to seek, we'll say, treatment and kind of alleviate some of the negatives that come along to the offshoots of seasonal affective disorder. So before we hop into today's episode, if you listen to the Goodness Chick podcast and it's something that you dig, you get a whole lot out of, makes your life better, and you look forward to it every week, I'd love for you to consider hopping on goodnesschick.com and consider doing whether it's a one-time donation or an ongoing sponsor through Venmo or PayPal. It allows the Goodness Chick mission to keep coming to you weekly. So with that, talking today about seasonal affective disorder. What is that? So I've heard about it, Erin, or you're coming right now and you're just like, you're nodding your head, seasonal affective disorder. It's here. I'm already feeling it. So what is it? To kind of put it into perfect wording, it is a form of depression that occurs about the same time every year. And with that, it's usually the winter, but there's also people that struggle, minority, but people that struggle during the summertime. We're all made differently, so our bodies function differently. So whether that be summertime or during the winter, it impacts people. It can affect your mood, your sleep, your relationships, appetite, energy levels. So it has a lot of offshoots to it, but it can really have a ripple effect in a way that if we are maybe not aware that it exists, or second, we're aware, but I don't really know what to do from here. So this is why we're dialoguing about this today. I struggled with seasonal affective disorder for a number of years. I noticed kind of getting it increasingly more magnified and intense over the years. So I grew up in central Jersey, and with that, as time went on, I noticed this change in mindset where I fight constantly, and I pursue this state of positivity, but I found myself dreading as we kind of got into, I'll say, mid-November all the way through March and even April at times, which is a big chunk of the year, where I was like, why do I feel so funky, right? And once I came to the point that I actually, I went to graduate school for rehabilitation and addiction studies, right? I was a clinical therapist. Obviously at that point saying, okay, oh my gosh, when they're going over, the symptoms, I have seasonal affective disorder. It's a form of depression. It hits me like a ton of bricks the same time every year, and I'm not going crazy. There's nothing wrong with me. This is something now I've been able to identify, and this comes with anything when it comes to mental illness, identifying it, and now where do I go from here that I can have a full and productive life where I can really be proactive? And this is where, coming to you today, I've dialogued with people about this. I posted something the other day on my social media, Instagram, Facebook, and if you're not following me at Goodness Chick, please make sure you follow. Just about, hey, I'm going to be talking about seasonal affective disorder. What does that look like to you? Do you know what it is? There's so many people that are impacted by this. I think as time goes on, are becoming more familiarized with what this word is, but what does it really look like? What is it? So giving some red flags when it comes to seasonal affective disorder. First off, women are 4 times more likely to suffer from this than men. It does not mean that men can't suffer from seasonal affective disorder, but statistics show 4 times more women than men suffer from this. So here's some red flags of what seasonal affective disorder kind of manifests its way into. So some of these, when it gets in towards the colder months, feeling funky, feeling like sleeping all the time, lethargic. Having trouble sleeping is a big one, kind of like your cycles off, sleep pattern wise, so tired, kind of exhausted, carrying out daily activities at the end of the day, middle of the day, or like I could kind of curl up and take a nap anywhere. But when this is kind of ongoing appetite change, where I know something I struggled with, like for real, I felt like a squirrel, where it would be like 4:30, 5 o'clock. I'd come home from work and I was like, I wasn't hungry, but I was hungry. And I would be just like kind of emotionally eating, or I see the dark, it's winter, my, hoodie and my jeans on. So it kind of gave me a layer and really an excuse, if you will. And I was able to justify it, just kind of noshing. But the appetite change is a big one for sure. Feeling hopeless, sad, down on ourselves. This increased sense of irritability is another one. Avoiding people, activities that maybe you enjoyed earlier during the year are just not bringing the joy that they used to. This kind of flatness, you're just like, I feel blah. And if you were to ask me, a number of years ago, like, what would you kind of describe it? I would say blah. I feel funky. I don't know, why do I feel this way, where I dreaded the time that the clocks would change, because and I don't know why we do that. I think it's crazy train. I think there's nothing positive that comes of it. And if I'm wrong, please let me know what that is. I know initially it was done for farmers, where it was like, okay, we're going to, in terms of being able to get up earlier, have daylight earlier. Well, here's the deal. In terms of the mental health implications, I feel like, and I'm not in any office whatsoever, but the goodness chick would say, like, we need to chuck it out the window. We need to chuck it out the window because it's doing so much harm to so many people, where you go these few months and then you slap on all these different things going on right now, post-election, COVID, just issues within society, like life. And it's like, you've got people that are walking around feeling like they're walking around with this like empty, invisible book bag filled with bricks, emotional bricks. And Aaron, I'm so tired all the time. I'm so overwhelmed all the time. What the heck is going on? And I'm not here to self-diagnose you, but what I will say, if a number of these things were ticked off, right? You checked them off and you're like, oh my gosh, this is where it's making an appointment with your doctor, talking with them. And for me, as a clinician, my first jump is never just to say, let's give you medication. That actually drives me insane. But I do believe there are viable sources that we can tap into that can absolutely help. And medication might be in that, in that whole, wrapped up at some point, right? Sometimes maybe sooner than initially anticipated. But I do believe in kind of tapping into things that are really kind of right in front of us, or with a click of the button, we can have delivered to our house the next day. That's the beauty, when it comes to the World Wide Web, right? So with that, if you're like, oh my gosh, all these things are going on. So what the heck, if this is something that I'm struggling with, what do I do? What's my next step? Well, I say this. What are those things that I threw at you? What are the things that are really impacting you? Okay, how long have you been feeling like this? Now, where do we go from here, right? Or if you're like thinking in your mind right now, my friend that, oh my gosh, all of these things, 8 of these things that this falls under. I would say if you're in a good relationship with them, a positive, healthy relationship, talking to them about it, maybe they have literally no idea that there's nothing wrong with them, but they suffer from seasonal affective disorder. And this is kind of where it again is kind of breaking, disintegrating the stigma that comes with mental health that is in still too many areas of our life. It just is that it's saying it's okay to talk about this. Right? Are you feeling this way? But you're like, oh, it's only a part of the year. Okay, but it still has implications for your quality of life, your daily functioning. So why, kind of shuffle our feet through this and just like hold your breath and let's get through these 4 or 5 months, depending on where you live. That's not fair to you, and that's not fair to the people around you, personally and professionally, because it absolutely dilutes our effectiveness in life, our quality of life. And so it's like, it's being able to talk about these things that we need to talk about. I remember, like, seriously, I'm going to say in high school and college, when I didn't know, feeling like, I'm in Jersey, especially like I remember when I started driving, waking up for school, coming home, and it was dark out. It's dark out. Like, and your brain can tell you, oh, okay, it's dark and it's cold, so I'm tired and I'm hungry and all these things. And you're like, what is wrong? Why is my brain changing so much? And why are all these things? I'm feeling just funky. I'm feeling funky and I don't know what to do about it. So segue here to what we can do about it, because I believe there's always a way and always hope in terms of doing something when we're not in a good place. And I will actually say this to you. So when I was working in Jersey, it was after I had my son Jack, and it was kind of like I felt this like just heaviness where, as winter, came, and I was like, I'm not functioning to the capacity that I need to, and I'm feeling, the seasonal affective disorder is really kind of kicking my butt. And we got to a point, and it was not solely because of seasonal affective disorder, but my husband and I talking about, okay, the benefits of moving south for us, a big benefit emotionally for both of us, psychologically for both of us, has been, the prolonged exposure to the sun. Just having sunlight. As human beings, we need sunlight. Not so I'm saying that everybody needs to get up and move from wherever you're at, right? But saying sunlight has to play into the equation of where, you're at on the map, and no matter what time of year it is, getting outside. So getting outside 15 to 20 minutes a day. I don't care if you're in Alaska, right? I don't care if you're in Nepal and it's super chilly. It's getting outside and breathing fresh air. It does something to us psychologically and mentally, and our bodies need vitamin D, right? So it could be, it's chilly outside, sun's out a little bit, but you're still outside. You're still outside, and that has a massive role. And when we're inside all the time, it can absolutely trigger and exacerbate pre-existing conditions of depression. Putting that out there big time. And I'm a big fan of the outdoors, like a bazillion %. So what else, which I think could work wonders, is having what's called a light box, a light therapy box, a happy lamp. You can hop on Amazon and read all about it, or Google it and figure out, hey, but what it does, it actually replicates natural sunlight, where it's, really giving you that dose, if you will, of sun, allowing us not to feel like I'm shrouded in darkness all day. This, for so many people that I have worked with, has really, really, really made a significant difference. And it's not just like, oh, I bought this sun lamp, it's great, this happy lamp. It's putting it down in your calendar, scheduling time every single day for a period of time of sitting and having it. You could be doing other things, and it's hitting you. You're getting that exposure of light. It absolutely helps. So check that out and do some research for yourself and see what you think. Helps big time. Dawn simulators is another one that didn't exist a number of years ago. And what this does, instead of an alarm clock, it slowly, there's light, and the light increases in its intensity, kind of a nice, subtle way of waking you up, but also at the same time producing light that has a benefit to you. So it's easing into the morning, which can be rough stuff sometimes, but providing light kind of does some great things, dual purpose. So that, if you're thinking about it, is a dawn simulator. Boom. All right, talking to your doctor, if you're like, man, I've been feeling this way, and talking about, okay, these are the signs and symptoms, where that if you feel like you need a diagnosis, they will more than likely give you some, I'll say, natural forms of kind of facing this, but also in terms of the possibility of medication. And if that's something that you feel like, okay, for this period of time during the year that I should be taking, talk to your doctor, converse with your doctor, and seeing if, this is something that, yes, you're suffering from seasonal affective disorder, and the possibility of, do we incorporate and integrate medication? Putting it out there. All right, so the next one that is so important, and I know that we can kind of downplay this sometimes, our bodies need enough sleep. Our minds can really play tricks on us when we do not have adequate sleep, just does. And with that, it sets us up for failure as the day goes on a totally different level when we're struggling with, facing and combating seasonal affective disorder. Making sleep a priority, making it a priority. Getting sleep is important. I'm not saying we're sleeping 12 hours out of the day, but really shooting for that 8 hours a day, or what your body needs. Everybody's different, but you know when you've had a really good quality of sleep and what that time frame consists of. I am an advocate and believer in essential oils. I think they can help us in terms of our functioning, our level of functioning, and just getting through the day and night. So if you want to hop on Amazon or go to TJ Maxx or whatever, Target, get a diffuser. One of my favorite oils is lavender that I put in diffusers throughout my house. I also, before going to bed, get some coconut oil, little bit of coconut oil, a drop or two of lavender, and put it on the bottom of my feet. I do it for my son at the end of the night too, and then put socks on. It has been clinically proven that lavender oil, right? Good oil. It's not stuff that you're, getting buy one, get one free at the Walmart or whatever, like getting a good quality essential oil, and utilizing it, becoming familiar with essential oils and how, are they curing you? Absolutely not. They can help with alleviating some of these symptoms that can go with seasonal affective disorder. So rocking down the line is being active. Be active, be active, be active. If we are chilling like a villain on our couch constantly, we're in bed all the time, our serotonin levels aren't being kicked up, aren't being kind of stirred around. And when we're sedentary for long periods of time, it will contribute to us feeling even more depressed, feeling bad about ourselves, or feeling like lack of motivation and feeling that funky, flat effect, which we want to avoid. So for you might be thinking, oh, how do I do that? Put in your phone, right? You're at work. Okay, instead of taking a half an hour lunch, I'm taking a 15-minute lunch and I'm walking for 15 minutes, or I'm parking my car a little bit further away, right? We could get creative where you don't have to run a 5K. If you want to rock it out, virtual 5Ks, a lot of that going on right now. But get creative, right? I'm going to do some exercise when I'm doing the dishes, or I'm out, in the living room and I'm going to do some weights. Like, I have found myself getting uber creative, where it doesn't mean I have to, I try to do an hour. It really doesn't happen too often, but even like 10 minutes of getting your heart rate going a few times a day, it does something. It absolutely has a positive physically, but also for our mind. It helps get the serotonin levels rolling. And it can help in terms of kind of combating the immense, intense feelings that can go along with SAD. That one, I already talked about sunlight. It is worth scheduling, putting in your phone, reminding yourself, it's so cold outside. I don't care. Go outside for a few minutes, breathe in some air, walk down to the mailbox 3 or 4 times, walk around your yard, walk through the neighborhood, walk your dog, whatever it is. I'm walking even further because I parked further when I was, at work. So get some sunlight, daylight in. It will help. All these little things will help in making a stronger, healthier you. I absolutely believe that with all my heart. And keeping this rolling, having a schedule when it comes to SAD, having a consistency, structure of like, okay, so I'm waking up, I'm doing this in the morning to kind of ease into my day. You have your dawn simulator. I'm going to sit in front a little bit, the light lamp, the happy lamp for a little bit before work, get my stuff together, go to work, I'm parking a little bit further. So literally making a schedule. How do I go through my day? And you can say, well, that's a lot of work. Well, it's a lot of work, but we're working for ourselves to have less work in the long run for our mental health. That's what this is about. We have to fight for ourselves. We have to advocate for ourselves, because there's times we certainly don't feel like it. We don't. But what is the best for not only us, but when we're in a healthier place, it helps the people around us. Next, going into the importance of eating healthy. If we eat high sugar, I'm not a dietitian, but I can tell you I've been on this earth long enough. If you eat everything, most of your diet is, filled with white sugar, processed foods, it will play a role, and you just kind of feeling sluggish. I've spent the past 3 months, I've been really trying, and I've slipped up a number of times, but slip up, it's called human, of really trying to do my best to do a healthier level of eating. Farm-raised beef and chicken, wild fish, vegetables and stuff that hasn't been sprayed, but eating like less processed. I will tell you, it isn't easy. It can be super annoying sometimes, but I feel better. I have more energy. I feel less funky. And I'm like, why don't I do this all the time? I just don't. And I'm trying. For me to say I'm going to do this all the time 24/7, well, that's not going to work, because it can't be, my way, all the way, or the highway. So it's giving ourselves credit because we're human, but saying, you know what, I'm going to really try, especially these next few months, because I know if I eat, really crappy, I'm going to feel crappy. I'm just going to try to do better. I'm just going to try to do better. Try your best. And maybe have an accountability partner, have a friend, have a spouse, have a sibling that, like, you know what, let's do this. Let's wingman it. We're going to get through. I'm struggling during these months. I could really use your help. Boom. Accountability wingman goes far. It absolutely goes far and makes things feel less crazy train and less overwhelming. And we breathe a little bit lighter. And I will say, breathing activities can really help. Prayer, I believe, making that a part of our, when we wake up, during the day, go to bed, just asking for clarity of mind and wisdom, and also just a sense of peace. Prayer can do powerful things. So moving along to having your doctor, this is one I thought was very interesting. Check your vitamin D levels. We need vitamin D if you're low on vitamin D, and looking into, different types of supplements. Again, not coming to you as a doctor, but, omega-3s, check it out, Google it, talk to your doctor about, or supplements may be something that need to be incorporated. Again, thinking about that, I take a number of things that really, I believe, help with my mindset, also help with my ability to function on a higher level. So look at supplements, talking to your doctor about vitamin D in particular, and seeing where you're at. One step at a time goes far. Last one is keep yourself busy. When we have excessive, we'll say downtime, and you're like, Aaron, I'm super busy. But if we're not structured, hear me out, where if we have too much time to think, if we're not stimulating our brain in a positive way, our brains kind of go off to la la land where we can really easily make excuses, right? It's okay, after school, or after work, we're going to go for a walk. Right? Or I'm going to go for a walk, I'm going to go for a run, or I'm just going to, I'm dancing every day for 7 minutes in the living room. Like, get creative. When we have these things where there's some form of structure, it helps, especially during these few months of knowing what to expect throughout your day, keeping a groove going, and really kind of going equipped to just help ourselves. That's what it is. And I want to hear from you. Is this something that you feel you connected with? Was it like, oh my gosh, this reinforced that this is something I've been struggling with? Or, I've known this, but some of these pointers really help me. Or are there things that you've used and utilized in your own life that I didn't mention? Email me. I'd love to hear from you, Aaron@goodnesschick.com. And if this is something you're like, hey, I've got a friend of mine or someone, I adore, and this, this absolutely applies to them, pass this along to somebody you care about. There's so many people, we need to stop being weird. So many people that suffer from seasonal affective disorder, a form of depression that we just need to be talking more about. We need to be dialoguing when it comes to mental health. We need to be talking and making people feel less uncomfortable, because there's nothing to be uncomfortable about. It is our life. These things don't define us. They're a part of us. And when we know more and we're well equipped, we become healthier and stronger as human beings, and our quality of life is what it's really intended to be. And it applies right there. So as we go forward, my friends, I'm wishing you a tremendous amount of peace, love, and goodness. If you enjoyed today's episode, there's a lot more encouragement and life-kicking strategies on goodnesschick.com. Have a great day, my friends.